Down to Biscayne.
Yikes. 5 on the floor. Ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing. You can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars. Wearing rubber frauds. Just like Butler said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the floor playing. Got it all banned. Y'all seen the block. Stop with one hand. And Pat we trust. It's power, have the guts. We're here to bring the heat. Y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, and Alex Toledo, plus others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
All right, welcome into 5 on the Floor Live. I am your host, Greg Sylvander. Tonight's floor plan with me, Sean Rochester, the coach, as well as Major Passons. You are not a curse to the program, my friend, because the Miami Heat are playoff bound. They will meet the Boston Celtics in the first round on Sunday, 1 p.m. tip. But before we even talk about any of that, we're getting into tonight's victory, 112-91 over the Chicago Bulls. They win big-time stuff from Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Bam Adebayo had his moments. We saw some good play from Kevin Love and DeLon Wright off the bench. So lots of positives. And more Heat basketball. So let's just acknowledge that. I think it's always a positive for all of our young players to get big game reps. And now they're going to get some big game reps against big game competition. Major, I'm coming to you first before we do the gamer of the night, which I think everybody probably knows who we're going to lean toward, and no controversies there. Your thoughts on the Miami Heat's 112-91 victory over Chicago tonight?
Yeah, I mean, they started out with a bunch of energy. It started with that first quarter. They came out exactly how they needed to come out. They were decisive in their actions. They were quick in their actions. They weren't letting the defense get settled as best they could. They were just pushing. Hero, he started out pretty good and then missed, I believe, 9 straight shots. But he was getting good looks. They were getting good looks to start the game, and they just – they had a chance to where they could fall away and stop, fall back into their habits of what they've done all year. When the Bulls started making a run in the third quarter, and the young guys responded, man. Like Jaquez, he's had such a rough little month and a half, really, or a little bit longer, and he's just blown back the past 2 games. He's learned from it. He looks like a vet out there. Just all these young guys, Jovic, Tyler, Jaquez, I can't say enough about them. And shout out Kevin Love too. He's not a young guy, but he did his role pretty perfectly tonight. I mean, you could just go down the line and say positives about all of them. So I just loved what I saw. Real fight with the season on the line without Jimmy. Just absolutely great game. One of the best games the Heat have played all year, really.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that they answered the something, right? I think that was the fun part. I apologize if my internet just went out there. Sean, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think Major said it well. He summarized the guys that really stood out, but I think honestly across the board, your key rotation guys, especially stepping up in the loss of Jimmy, and not having Terry Rozier out there, and not having Duncan Robinson, I would say still not at 100%. It's good to see those guys step up. And I think, what we all expected for them to be successful was ball movement and player movement. And at times on Wednesday, you didn't see that. And I think when this Heat offense is good, honestly, since back to when Jimmy first got here, when they move the ball and when they move players, it's hard to defend. And it's really, really fun to watch. I know you said on playback, aesthetically pleasing basketball. And I would say without the exception of maybe in that second quarter, it was pretty darn fun to watch this game as a Heat fan. We don't often get to say that.
Agreed. It was more aesthetically pleasing. I love Jaime Jaquez and the way he was pushing the pace. But tonight we are going with somebody else as the Rock Esports Gamer of the Night. Let's dive right into it.
And now on 5 on the Floor, it's time for the Gamer of the Night, sponsored by Rock Esports Center, the place to eat, drink, and play all day. Host your next birthday party with them. Located at 15305 South Dixie Highway in Palmetto Bay. They've got a 5,500 square foot state-of-the-art center equipped with all the high-end power. Play all day passes available for just $25, but if you mention 5 Reasons, It's just $20. So mention 5 Reasons or 5RSN. You get to play all day for $20. And now, the gamer of the night.
So while Jaime Jaquez was absolutely worthy with 21, 6, and 6, this has got to be a Tyler Hero night, right? 24 points, 8 of 17 from the field, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. You don't like the 5 turnovers. You don't like the shooting stretch that didn't go well. But overall, he played really, I thought, poised basketball, got to his spots, made some really tough buckets in the second half as well, just to kind of put the game away. Major, your thoughts on Tyler Hero's performance specifically tonight?
This is exactly what the Heat needed from him. I said on playback right before the game started, they need a big hero night. And he knew it. I liked his shot selection. For the most part, they were all pretty good shots. He didn't settle too much, in my opinion. There were a couple times, but he took open threes or drove pretty well too. Hit a couple floaters. His passing and his assists were great. Yeah, he did have 5 turnovers, and the Heat had a lot of turnovers in that second quarter specifically. But, I mean, any game for anyone, you can find negatives. He was phenomenal tonight. This was absolutely what they needed. He won them the game with his energy and just how he played. If they want a shot against Boston, they need this for every game. That's going to be the decisive factor. He was just exactly what we keep talking about when we become hero stands, like people want to say it, of what his ceiling is and what he can provide to this team. It was exactly, this is the game we'll point to. This is what he can do, and he can run that. The offense played in a more fit to his play style as well, and so that probably helped as well.
Agree. The faster they play, I think that helps Tyler. It's good to get him these reps. Sean, I'm sure you've got cleaning the glass. What were the shooting splits tonight? We've been tracking this all year. I'd be interested to hear how much we were in the mid-range tonight.
Yeah, let me pull those up really quick. In terms of the Heat's frequency, something we've referenced throughout the season, 36% of our shots from behind the arc, 43% from the mid-range, specifically 33% in the short and mid, which is pretty typical of the Heat, and then 21% at the rim. And looking at both teams, the Bulls really leaned into threes, which was kind of expected, 44% of their shots from behind the arc. And they were not effective. They just could not make shots. And I commented on playback that I thought their process was pretty good, but they just ultimately couldn't make enough shots. Really quick, just a couple trends. We held the Bulls to a 95.8 offensive rating. When we hold teams below 100, we're 10-0 on the season now. Only an 80 half-court offensive rating for the Bulls. That's terrible. 45.7 effective field goal percentage for the Bulls. We are 15-1 now when we hold teams below 50%. And then for the Heat, 42.4% from behind the arc. So it's good to see that. We're 21-8 this season when we shoot above 40%.
All good numbers. I really like the fact that they didn't let Chicago get back in this game and stick around in the second half. I thought that was a really big point of emphasis for this team to not let Chicago get back in. So that was good as well. Next, we're going to get into the aggressive play of the night, and then you're going to hear a familiar theme.
And now it's time for the Insurance by Lynette Play of the Night, sponsored by InsuranceByLynette.com, an aggressive insurance agency. You can reach out to our friend Lynette at 954-581-8800. That's 954-581-8800, or InsuranceByLynette.com. That's InsuranceByLynette.com with 2 N's and 2 T's. Your best play for auto insurance, homeowners insurance, condo insurance, life insurance, or a retirement program. Reach out to Lynette at InsuranceByLynette.com.
So if anybody else has a play, bring one. But the one that I'm referencing is Tyler Hero channeling his inner Jason Williams. He went J-Will with the behind-the-back pass to Caleb Martin in the corner, or kind of the corner-ish for the 3. That is my Insurance by Lynette aggressive play of the night. Either of you got another one? And what did you think of Caleb Martin's game? I'll come to you first on this one, Sean. Your thoughts on Caleb and let's group Haywood Highsmith in there as well.
Well, let me just add that Tyler, knowing his teammate, left the pass a little short to get Caleb to step up, put his foot on the line. And we know when Caleb Martin's got his foot on the line, that damn thing's going in. So wasn't a 3, but it looked like it at the time. But we know what Caleb does when his foot's on the line. Haywood and Caleb, and I'm going to lump DeLon in there too. just like on Thursday, disruptive minutes, mostly in the middle of quarters. It's just you're going to have to do that stuff when you're, essentially overmatched against Boston, if we're being frank about it.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing. The 2-2-1, whether it's zone, I don't know if you can do that against Boston, but even in the man-to-man, just fly around and be disruptive. And you have to take chances. You have to double. You have to fly around like your hair is on fire. Those guys do that, and I just love the energy that it brings, and I think it's contagious for everybody else.
Agree. I thought that those guys were great compliments to Jaime and Nico's pace tonight. Let's talk about Niko Jovic's game a little bit, Major. Your thoughts on him early. It's a weird situation where he doesn't necessarily get a lot of second half reps, but your thoughts on Niko's game.
I mean, I thought he's been doing what he's been doing recently. Like you said, he kind of plays a weird rotation piece of he plays at the start of the halves mostly. And his role, it seems to be just push the pace as best you can, give a quick little spurt. I love his guard ability there to grab a ball and run in transition. And he might be the best transition player on the team, him or Jaquez. It's definitely one of them too. They both are the ones that know how to run it. His shooting has been great as of late. He's shooting with confidence, even if there's a hand in his face. But one thing I love that the Heat really need from him is he's been helping a lot with rebounds as well. So he's not just playing the pretty basketball. That's kind of a development over his game this year from, just wanting to be that offensive player. Now he's helping out in things like defense. He's improved his defense a lot to where they actually had him on Vooch tonight, which I thought was interesting. And it's a mismatch for the Bulls, but he did a solid job for the most part there. And like I said, helping out in rebound, he's doing all the little things. That's where Jovic has really made a big leap. We know he always had this offensive skill that's starting to develop as well, but his defense and him being able to rebound as well, do those little things to find more minutes on the court. I mean, he played 27 minutes tonight. So he might be earning some of Spo's trust. We kind of thought he would be a regular season starter. And now it's like you can't take him out.
Yeah, and I want to go on record as saying that I think Haywood Highsmith is going to be a big part of the Celtics series. So that's another guy that we're going to hone in on. Jaime Jaquez is going to have an unbelievable opportunity in this first round to get some serious big game responsibility. And I think he's up for the challenge. Whether they win or not is another discussion for another day. But I look forward to this opportunity for all these guys. I think that it's invaluable for them to get the chance to play even a really good, if not the favorite, Boston Celtic team. I guess so flash that stat up there one more time, Sean. For anyone on the audio only side of this, the Heat are 23-16 when missing one of Tyler, Jimmy, or Bam this season. #we have enough. That is a really good statistic that I think it shows you that this team is so unpredictable. When everybody's healthy, you don't know what you're going to get and what they're going to look like. When guys have been out, you see the difference there. So that's an interesting part of this. Major, your thoughts on, we're going to touch on it just for a moment, the Celtics matchup.
It's a nightmare, to be honest with you. There's like really nothing basketball wise you could point to be like, yeah, the Heat have a really good shot in this series. That's just being honest, and I'm the biggest homer there is, but it's just written on the wall. You have to, what Sean said, just be disruptive, make it chaos. We've seen it year after year against the Celtics. When it's tight, when things are just chaotic, that's when the Heat tend to prevail in those scenarios. So they need just utter chaos. They need a Tyler Hero. You probably have Drew on him since Jimmy's out, I would assume. That's a tough matchup. We just need Hero to go nuclear. Bam to really establish against Porzingis. And then DeLon and Highsmith, I think, are going to be huge. They need defense. These got to be games in the mud. I'm kind of thinking like 90s games. Like, don't let them score 110. We're not scoring 110. Like, keep it real low scoring, right? Just do whatever you can, lean into full defense, and just have Tyler just be the offensive catalyst, and then Jovic in his spot minutes. but you got to really lean, I think, on defense there.
How do you think the rotation shakes out, Sean, against Boston specifically? You think that it's as easy as DeLon and Haywood Highsmith and Duncan off the bench? Who am I missing? K-Love. Is that the 9 that we're rolling with here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that would change it would be if we get Terry back in the mix. I would think
that's true.
I would think he comes off the bench. I don't think you can start him next to Tyler, and I think that's okay because you put them out there and it should essentially cover 48 minutes. They can share the floor at times, but I think, to Major's point, we talked about being disruptive. You talked about, putting in the mud. That's going to be difficult against Boston. They're just a prolific offense. So, you want the variance. Like if they shoot poorly, like they did last year, can we shoot above our means? And that's, creating that reducing that gap. Can you turn them over at a high level? Can you get a bunch of offensive rebounds or something to like add possessions to the game? Because if you just play, to their normal style, if you play a vanilla defense, you're going to lose. They're better than we are, but that's why you play a 7-game series. You wish it was a 1-game sample like tonight or like on Wednesday, but you have to do something, and maybe it's Terry and Tyler just going off one game. Maybe it's Duncan getting hot, whatever it is. You know what? Look, you're going to get the experience for Jaime and Nico. You're going to get the experience of a high leverage playoff game that nobody expects you to win, just like last year. Go out there, compete, and see what happens.
I'm with you on all points. I think that Boston is going to be a tough matchup, but you never know what the hell happens in a series, man. You never know. Somebody bumps knees. Somebody has a non-contact type of injury on either side. It changes series. We've seen it over and over again. So the Heat just getting the opportunity to be in a playoff series, if they shoot above their head, they could get a game, they could get 2, they could make it interesting, and that's the kind of stuff that you want. Is just your players to be in position to play tough, competitive basketball at this time of year. That's what we want. The Heat continue to do that. Let's get to the Eric Rubenstein injury report before we close this thing. Where are you, Eric Rubenstein?
And now it's time for the official 5 on the Floor injury report, sponsored by our friend Eric Rubenstein, the personal injury attorney. Born and raised in Lauderdale, Florida, lives in Miami, went to St. Thomas. He's a South Florida guy and a huge Miami Heat fan. But the important thing is he can help you get your money that you deserve when something happens to you. So reach out to our guy, Eric Rubenstein. Again, ericrubenstein.com, or ask about me, I got you, on Instagram. And now, the injury report.
So the injury report, we're going to watch for Terry to hopefully come back. Duncan looks like he's going to be able to be integrated more and more into these actions. He could be an X factor for Miami against Boston, but it looks like Terry is who we're watching for. He was on the bench tonight. Hopefully he can be in the lineup eventually here shortly, although we did hear it would be a while before he would be back. No Jimmy Butler for this series. It's not going to happen. I don't care if it goes 7. It's not going to happen. Jimmy Butler's not playing. They'll have to deal with that, but that's your injury report. Otherwise, the Heat came out of this game unscathed. Final thoughts, Major. I'll come to you first for this on the Miami Heat's victory tonight, securing the 8th seed, and just your overall the vibes.
Never been higher this year. The vibes. It's been a brutal season, and to play a lot of complete basketball down the stretch. I mean, you have the Toronto games, and you have this game tonight where they just, they beat inferior opponents, but that's what they're supposed to do. They crushed them, and they played all around basketball for the most part. So I loved how they played tonight. If you want to beat the Celtics, you got to go in on a high, riding that emotion. So maybe they can leverage the Jimmy, like 4 Jimmy type thing, into a game or two, and then make it interesting. You never know what happens. It's the NBA. Duncan Robinson comes back, he hits 10 threes in a game. You just got to make it one game at a time. There's a reason they play series. If it was on paper, the Celtics would have won the past 10 championships, but it's not on paper. So they play it in a court, and there's no one you would rather be rooting for than Eric Spoelstra. So,
Sean, your thoughts on the play-in tournament matchup with Boston, where we stand what is this, 84 games into the season now, and a quick plug.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We talked all season about how we didn't think we've had a signature win, and it's great to get that on the 84th game of the season in the play-in tournament. I know everybody will be satisfied now. The season is really, all we thought it could be. Tyler Hero stepping up in a game where essentially the stats actually don't count for anything, but maybe in our hearts we can keep those stats counting. But looking forward to Sunday. Shout out to Donut Dan in the comments. He asked about this opening line: Heat Celtics Sunday in Boston, 1:00. What do you think? Take a guess, guys. What do you think the spread is?
8.5.
Yeah, I think it's like 10.
13.5-point underdogs. Vegas has
Damn.
no belief. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to quote this because Brian Fonseca talked to me about this earlier. Heat plus 13.5, and I would wait. I bet that number goes up because nobody is going to believe in us. Bet the Heat spread in game 1. Do it on Better Edge. Use the code 5RSN. Get yourself $20 from 5 Reasons Sports when you sign up. You can make your own line if you want. I'm sure there's some Boston fans on there that think they're going to run us, just kill us that game. So set your own line. Bet the Heat if you want to win some cash.
Definitely. Thank you to our sponsors, Better Edge, Eric Rubenstein, A Aggressive Insurance, insurancebyLynette.com. Check them out. Rock Esports, super dope place. You got to go there if you're a gamer. Thank you to our sponsors, Major, Sean, thank you for your time. The Miami Heat, another season in the NBA playoffs. Let's get it. Good night.